Meanwhile, at the Genshin research facility... Genshin Impact Research Facility. How may I help you, sir, ma'am?
3 words. Fatui Mirror Maiden.
A kablooey mirror, Jaden?
No, a Fatui Mirror Maiden. Look it up right now.
Alright, I'll look it up. Alright, let's see what this is all about. Fatui mirror IRR maiden. Alright. Let's see what we got here. And oh. Yeah, we can research this. What is this? The Fatui? Alright. So what is the Fatui? Well, imagine if the biggest enemy you had was right in the open at all times. They were the biggest threat to safety and to the world, but were under the guise of a kind of diplomat. They had their hands in every port and owned the biggest banks. They're backed by a strong technological military that no one dares to oppose. And no, I'm not talking about your country's government. I'm talking about the Fatui. They come from Signora, which is an extremely cold, frozen land that is described as much more technologically advanced than the rest of Teyvat, and I think there's a reason for that, which I'll go over later in the video. But they're led by the Teresa, who is a cryo-archon that reigns over the land. But she was not an original member of the 7 Archons. It's not known how long she's been a member of the Archons, but Venti states that he's known her for quite some time. He also states that the Cryo-Archon changed after the fall of Conria, and had to harden herself in fight. So, it gives us an understanding that this Archon wasn't always so corrupt and willing to abuse and tax her own people to death, essentially. So with the Cryo-Archon leading the Fatui, the executive officers known as the 11 Fatui Harbingers directly execute her wishes. It's highly likely the only individuals that actually see or hear from the Teresa are the 11 Fatui Harbingers. We've only had 9 of the members actually named in some way, but all of their names come from Italian comedy theater except for Signora. These Harbingers are the most powerful members of the Fatui and wield not only a vision, but also a delusion, which is granted by the Teresa herself. You can think of a delusion as the yin to the vision's yang. Tartaglia is probably the one Harbinger you already know, and we've seen his delusion at work. It's a separate element than that of his vision, and seems to be just as powerful, if not more powerful. Delusions are said to make visions look like child's play, but let's not confuse Child's foul legacy transformation as his delusion's power. That's actually not the power of his delusion, although his delusion might have some influence on its effect. Now, another really interesting thing that we've seen in the upcoming 2.1 update, which hasn't been released by the recording in this video, is La Signora having something similar to the foul legacy transformation that Child has. Now, Child's foul legacy transformation is actually a byproduct of his time spent in the Abyss and his training in the Abyss. That was a transformation he acquired from that. So, you could coordinate and correlate the fact that they both have delusions, and maybe that has something to do with their ability to have a transformation. But I think that this is going to be more indicative that Signora has spent time in the Abyss, and she had also acquired a transformation. It seems that the members of the Fatui are probably very likely to interface with the Abyss to go down the train and acquire their transformations that way, because they are trying to get as much power basically in any way possible in order to overthrow Celestia. And although 9 of the Harbingers have been named, besides Child, only the notable ones would be Scaramucci, who has a very limited interaction in the game so far, though he appears to have a elevated role in the next 2.1 update. Polchinia, or I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name, who recruited Child, aka Tartaglia, aka Ajax, while he was living in Snezhnaya. And finally, Signora, who absolutely destroyed Venti and stole his Gnosis quicker than an employee at McDonald's would leave after clocking out. Signora also easily takes the Gnosis of Morax, aka Zhongli, via a contract. So she's been tasked with stealing the Gnosis of every Archon and has been pretty successful so far, rendering these Archons effectively useless without their power, but let's dive into this a bit more. So the Fatui wants to render the gods useless and take their Gnosis. The Teresa says that she wants a rebellion against the Divine, aka Celestia. Now this all sounds quite familiar to the goals of that of the Abyss Order, and it's my speculation that the members of the Fatui, at least the original members anyways, hail from Khaenri'ah, which is why they are so much more advanced than the rest of the world, because they retained some of the technological information from Khaenri'ah, and that's why they hate Celestia so much. It also seems highly likely that their aim is to take the Gnosis of all the Archons, so the Archons can't stop them from attacking Celestia, or their plan is to use the Gnosis to develop a power that can combat Celestia for revenge of the destruction of Khaenri'ah. We never really see the Abyss Order and the Fatui fight, whether or not they're public enemies or allies, but they seem to have a big connection in their goal. And as the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So there we go. The Fatui is a militaristic authoritarian organization run by the Teresa, which has a hold everywhere in Teyvat. Their ultimate goal is unknown, but we can kind of theorize from what we've seen in-game so far of what exactly their goal is. And if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment on what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, some things I might have missed, and some more interesting tidbits that maybe I left out. Thank you for watching. I put a lot of time into the video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.